What is something that most people won't believe, but is actually true? Oh, we definitely taste bad. The higher you go up the food chain, the more random crap builds up in the body. For instance, a big old fish is going to taste much worse than a young small fish. Relating this back to humans, we live a long time, eat garbage, take all kinds of medicines and drugs, and to begin with, our meat is like pork, so it ain't great without a lot of BBQ sauce. I imagine a full-grown human must taste like the dirtiest pork you've ever eaten. X10. Yep, link here. Warning, mild to moderate gore, depending on your sensitivity to such things. Honestly, a pretty fascinating read. I think we've all wondered to at least some degree what eating human flesh would be like. And this dude made it happen for him and his brothers, ethically sourced, even, or at least consensually, with no added harm. The answer is, Victorians be whack. Mummy brown was a very popular paint pigment for the time, creating a rich brown color that couldn't easily be replicated, and eating bits of mummies, mixed into other things mind you. It was considered a medicine and not a food, was thought to possibly cure diseases, probably had zero scientific backing behind it even back in the day, but trendy rich people are trendy rich people no matter the era. Mummy brown predates the Victorian period by a couple centuries. Mummies were also sold as firewood because when in the desert and not a lot of stuff to burn to cook with, so many mummies were burned, sold as paint pigment, and as party centerpieces. Look up mummy unwrappings. Victorians were fucking weird. That fake mummies had to be made with bodies of executed criminals to keep up with demand. This is totally anecdotal, but we're also really good at hearing volumes of water moving into containers. I was in college during Napster/Kazaa/DC++ heyday, and a classmate of mine made a program that translated, via over 200 samples, the rate of a file downloading into the sound of a small stream of water. So, like, a small file would be a little cup, a bigger file would be a gallon cooler or 5 gallons bucket. Slow speeds would drip drip drip, while faster downloads would sound like hoses or taps with various pressure. Early ABX testing, versus visual progress bars, showed it to be absurdly accurate, even when monitoring multiple files at once. But he ended up scrapping the idea after turning it in as a class project because it had the unexpected downside of making people have to pee. Skeptical. I quit smoking close to 10 years ago. You will never, ever regret quitting. Between your sense of smell coming back, your sense of taste enhancing, not getting winded when you walk up a flight of stairs, and if you weren't there yet, you would be. Your fingers not being stained/stinking. It is so totally worth it. You can do this. Totally agreed. I smoked for 10 yoctoseconds, stopped for 3 yoctoseconds, then smoked for another 4 yoctoseconds, and I'm 3 months into quitting again. I really wish I had done it sooner. Not gone back. I really just feel so much better. I've always gotten pangs every once in a while, but it's just so not worth giving up all the benefits of not smoking. My clothes don't smell, I don't feel like a jerk subjecting my GF to my smoker's mouth. I don't have to go outside a dozen times a day when it's boiling hot/rainy/40°C outside, $20/pack X23 a week, having to carry them around with me while keeping them from being crushed or get wet when I want to go out doing things, plus the trash of empty packs and butts and ash everywhere. The benefits of quitting are just fucking endless. You think it helps you cope with stresses, or depression, or whatever. But it's not. It just makes you feel shitty whenever you think about it and makes things worse. I hope whoever might need to see this does and knows. If you want to quit, you can do it. Hey, me too. I quit cigs earlier this year. Been vaping and tapering off. I know it's not the way, but it's progress. When my niece was born a few years ago, I was heartbroken that I couldn't smell the new baby smell everyone talks about. My nephew was born earlier this year. There is no greater smell than that new baby head smell. I cried like a child meeting him, and none of my nieces or nephews has a bond to me like he does. He wants me to hold him, because I don't stink anymore. He cuddles into me like he's trying to cuddle my heart through my ribs. I'm living something I thought I'd never get to. You can do this. We can do this. I laughed at diabetic powers. I swear I'm the only one that can smell subtle changes in my blood sugar just from my body odor. Something about being chronically higher than 180-200 makes me smell stinkier. And of course the obvious ketones in urine and it smelling like a nail salon. There's also a nurse's smell powers. Once you smell what a GI bleed or CTIF smells like, you will never forget. I actually was suspicious of a GI bleed in my grandmother a few weeks before she was hospitalized with one, in the hospital for something else, but she is also the one to chug Pepto. I accidentally caused several debunking YouTube channels to prove the blue-footed booby, Selenobuxii, is a real bird. They're kind of like seagulls except with bright blue feet and beaks similar to the extinct dodo. Another real bird with a weird name is the great tit, Parus major. It is just a small bird that looks similar to a finch or a chickadee. I love the idea that, as a species, they've got no idea they're the ones chirping, so it scares the shit out of them every time. Chirp chirp, what the fuck is that? Edit. For all of the delightful I am very smart candidates in the replies. It's a joke, I'm well aware of where a cricket chirps from, and that odds are it isn't startling to them. Y'all need to lighten the fuck up. Holy shit, I knew currants were part of the life cycle, but I had no idea that it was why there's no currant flavored stuff in North America. Like a decade ago I worked in a lab that was trying to breed trees resistant to the fungus. The trees are western white pine, and they've been nearly wiped out. Edit. Turns out there's many species of pine affected, and this was just the species my lab was focused on. The fungus is white pine blister rust, Cronardium rubicola. People familiar with both blackcurrants and grapes seem to generally prefer blackcurrant flavored food over grape flavored food. So, most things that we Americans put grape flavoring in, the Europeans use blackcurrant flavoring instead. For example, if you buy a pack of Skittles in Europe, the purple ones will be blackcurrant flavored. If you buy the Skittles in the US, the purple ones will be grape flavored. But if you give a European bag of Skittles to an American, they'll generally hate the purple ones, because the blackcurrant taste is unexpected, unfamiliar, and therefore, unpleasant. As a result, there's basically no market for blackcurrant flavored foods here in the US. The rope around the earth problem. Take a rope tied tautly around a basketball. Now the rope must be lengthened so that there is a 1-foot gap between the ball and the rope at all points, as if the rope is hovering a foot way around the entirety of the ball. How much must the rope be lengthened to accomplish this? 6.28 feet. Now take a rope tied tautly around the equator of the Earth. We have the same goal for the 1-foot hovering gap around the entirety of the Earth. How far must the rope be lengthened? 6.28 feet. This is so counterintuitive, just about no one will believe it until shown the math. To me, I know the math checks out, everything makes sense on that aspect, but my brain struggled with the concept, because it keeps telling me the rope is so much longer, surely it would need more to move 1 foot further out, until I thought of it like this. You have rope, you add length somewhere, vertical bar macron vertical bar. This is basically moving it one out, you then go around the entire globe adjusting, vertical bar macron 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 vertical bar until it's all further out. I've never ran a marathon, but I did hike for about 36 hours straight one time to catch our only ride out of the backcountry. An injury had slowed the group, but they were eventually heli-vac'd out. Anyways, micros leaps while still moving down a trail is absolutely a real thing. Hours 12-16 were the hardest. At a certain point you reach an exhaustion equilibrium and your body just stops telling you to stop. The last 12 hours were surprisingly fun, lots of giggling and shared suffering, but I don't remember it super well. I used to be in the army during the first Iraqi elections. We patrolled for an entire week, nobody lay down to sleep, and we had very little food. Sometimes I would hallucinate, or sometimes I would wake up in a different place entirely. Every now and again I would purposely go to sleep, if we had time, and wake up patrolling a neighborhood. I still think that week fucked me up permanently, 'cause I've had issues with sleep ever since. Not exactly. Most commercial pineapples are grown from the pups that come from the base of the plant. which take a year to set fruit and then about 4–8 months to fill and ripen it depending on the variety. Pineapples only take 2–53 years to fruit if you are planting the green tops, which isn't common except in home gardens. If the farm in question uses tissue culture plantlets, that might take closer to 3 years. When I just got hired, I was talking to a coworker and I mentioned my salary BC. He said his review was about due and we found out even after all of his raises I was making well over 10K. He got a new job and is living the dream too. Always mention pay with coworkers. Not doing so only costs you money. Yeah, I was a federal employee and by the end of my career, I/Red in my 40s, I was 2–3 grades higher than the 40-somethings I worked with as a 20-something right out of college. Reason: I wasn't a super genius, just got bored with places and jobs easily and was always checking usajibs for greener pastures. Because they were all federal jobs, I carried my pension, annual leave, and sick leave with me wherever I went. This fact is the one that surprised me the most. We've actually learned a lot recently about their breeding habits with successful farming and tracking. That article was really interesting actually. I didn't expect to be reading up on eel breeding habits tonight lol. I also learned that electric eels aren't true eels. And what defines an eel? Cool stuff. Thank you for the fact. Edit. This video on YouTube was pretty neat too. Hawkins Lab from Stranger Things is actually the old site for GMHI where they used to pump my now best friend full of ADD/ADHD meds until he flatlined. They were able to do this to him because he was a ward of the state. He had many friends that didn't make it out of there. Emory have kept these trials under wraps even through the filming of the show. I actually met this man whilst working for a computer firm around 1992. I think his stage name was Mr. Munge too. French, Mr. Eat All. The company hired him to eat one of our PCs as a publicity stunt at a computer exhibition. He had a pair of tin snips and other tools to cut the PC case into very small pieces, around 6mm long and 3mm wide. Before swallowing them, I would estimate in a 3-day duration of the exhibition he ate about 20 pieces of the PC case, nothing of the components inside. At the end of the exhibition we had the exhibition hall's POS system announce that he had eaten the PC, when of course he hadn't come anywhere close to doing so. I therefore doubt very much that he ate a whole plane. I saw a short documentary of him when he passed away in 2007, that he actually died of advanced severe stomach cancer. Doctors agreed it was a result from ingesting all those materials. Even if his stomach could digest it, his body still absorbed all those chemicals, thus leading to terminal cancer during his 50s. However, his family wanted to keep it hush-hush as they thought it would leave a bad impression on his unique career and legacy. They believed it was more impressive for people to believe he never had a problem passing all this metal. As a result, almost all articles, information about him say he died of natural causes. This was a while ago. I have not been able to find this documentary ever again. Probably his family banned it, and for some reason his story has stuck with me. More likely the former. Life does not impact both sides of the body equally. Your example is a good one. The dominant side of your body will get different kinds of actions assigned to it than the non-dominant side. And this will create differences over the course of time. Another example, a lot of people's smiles are a bit crooked, so the more they smile in their lifetime, the more that unevenness becomes pronounced in the way their face looks even in the relaxed position.